Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be checking out an incredible legend run in the Open Ultra League featuring an XL Venomoth. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. XL Venomoth is a bug and poison type Pokemon with the moveset of Confusion, Poison Fang, and Psychic. It only has a 25% meta win rate, and despite that, this trainer still hits Legend with it. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out the XL Venomoth Legend run in the Ultra League. Picking up a pretty nice lead in the first match, Berserker into Empoleon. Berserker is able to outpace Empoleon in this matchup, and a close combat landing would easily be enough to KO. Empoleon is going to strike first with the Hydro Cannon. Berserker commits the shield because they are very close to the back-to-back close combats, firing off the first one. Empoleon is going to commit the first shield, but now they have a ton of pressure applied by a second close combat. Decision time for the opponent. They double shield, and now a save switch into Shadow Drapion. Empoleon is going to be able to get that shield back here, but now Drapion does have an energy lead. Opponent is going to bring in a Talonflame, and it is very good to see this here because this team is ABA weak to Talonflame. Aqua Tail is able to land, Drapion farms up, Talonflame is at a move. Brave Bird would KO, but would allow it to be farmed down by the Venomoth. They go for the Flame Charge, that's not going to be enough to KO, and Shadow Drapion is going to be able to fire off the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail gets them low, Drapion gets the farm down and leaves with a bunch of loaded energy. If the opponent chooses to bring in that Empoleon, they're going to get hit with a crunch. They choose to bring in Gyarados and unfortunately clicked on the wrong move, went for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail not going to be doing a lot, but this crunch is going to hurt. Drapion firing off the crunch, that gets the Gyarados low, and now it is XL Venomoth time. Venomoth farming up quite a bit, and honestly at this point I think you switch into Berserker in case they bring in Empoleon, and that's exactly what they do. Berserker able to get to the close combat. This will be easily taken out the Empoleon. The Gyarados is low enough that it gets farmed down as well, and that is a good game. Pretty nice lead in the next match, Berserker into Walrein. Berserker does have to be mindful of a potential Earthquake, of course. Farming up a bunch of energy, Walrein is going to bank an Earthquake for later, and then save switch into an Air Slash Mandibuzz. Berserker absolutely loaded, firing off the first close combat. Game freezes a little bit, and then able to fire off close combat number 2. That is going to get the Mandibuzz below half health. Berserker banking some energy for later, and then bringing in Drapion. Drapion will be able to be a very effective damage sponge here, because Mandibuzz is forced to go for Aerial Ace, which is a pretty bad move. Drapion very close to the back-to-back Aqua Tails, firing off the first. This is not going to be enough to KO. Again, game freezes a little bit. Thankfully, able to unfreeze. The energy catches up, and firing off Aqua Tail number 2. That's going to take out the Mandibuzz. Walrein had an Earthquake loaded, but chooses not to throw it, and now they're going to be hit with a Crunch. Crunch is able to land. Drapion continues to farm. Walrein is going to fire off a charge move, choosing to let this go. Walrein is going to full send the Earthquake. They still do have a decent amount of residual energy, so I like the decision to bring in the Venomoth here, and basically just use Venomoth to absorb this energy. They're going to fire off a charge move. It's the Icicle Spear, and they should be very close to Icicle Spear number 2. This is not going to KO, but it is going to get the Venomoth deep into the red. Venomoth continues to farm, and it's a simultaneous switch. Berserker into Shadow Nidoqueen. Berserker is going to fire off the Foul Play. Foul Play will do quite a bit of damage. Nidoqueen shields, and they are going straight Poison Fang. Despite the resistance, they are going to try and just farm their way through this Berserker. Berserker farms up, fires off the Foul Play on another CMP tie. At this point, you do have to start shielding Poison Fangs because Berserker's health is getting quite low. Berserker is going to commit the shield. Berserker can continue to farm. Going to fire off the Foul Play just before they're able to reach their next Fang. This Foul Play will be getting the Nidoqueen very low. Nidoqueen is able to hang on, and they get the farm down. In comes Venomoth. Venomoth gets the farm down and leaves with the Psychic loaded. Venomoth against all odds, taking out the Walrein and securing the win. Great lead in the next match, Berserker into Trevenant. You love to see it. Opponent will immediately save switch into a Walrein, and they are core broken by Berserker. Berserker is going to fire off the close combat. This should be grabbing a shield from the opponent. Berserker continues to farm. They are one short of the Earthquake here, so this can only be an Icicle Spear. He recognizes it, and he lets it go. Berserker farms up, and then in comes Venomoth. The nice thing is that he does have 2 counters to Trevenant, meaning that honestly he doesn't even need switch advantage. So he can just bring in the Venomoth and not have to shield here. Venomoth is going to go for the Psychic, and Venomoth wins the CMP tie over Walrein. This Psychic does get that Walrein incredibly low, and I don't think this Icicle Spear is going to be enough to KO. Walrein, Icicle Spear, gets Venomoth low, barely able to farm down. That is a little unfortunate. Walrein is able to reach a last second charge move. It is only another Icicle Spear, but that will be getting that Berserker dangerously close to the red health. In the back, the opponent has a Shadow Swampert. Thankfully, the opponent does not make a catch of the close combat. Close combat is able to land, and now going to be firing off the foul play. I like the foul play just in case the opponent decided to catch. Foul play, gets the shield, in comes the Shadow Drapion. Drapion going for the Aqua Tail, loses CMP, but now the opponent is locked in here, so he can very safely shield. Opponent plays to their win con, which is the Hail Mary Earthquake. Aqua Tail is going to take out the Swampert. Back in comes the Trevenant, and that is a good game. Tough lead in the next match, Berserker into Dragonite. While Berserker does resist the Dragon Breath damage, thanks to the Season 12 move update, Dragonite has access to Superpower, which would hit for massive damage onto Berserker. Dragonite lets the first move through, they farm up well past the Superpower, and it's decision time. Berserker shields last second, and it is the Superpower. Opponent save switches into Trevenant, and Trevenant is met with a loaded foul play. This will be grabbing a shield, and now on even shields, he can farm up and then switch in the Shadow Drapion to fully wall Trevenant's energy. Trevenant is going to go for the Shadow Ball, and that just does absolutely nothing to Drapion. Drapion is going to farm up and go for the crunch. This is such a bad matchup that I don't expect the opponent to shield, and they are just going to let it go. Do they decide to bring back in the Dragonite? They do not. They bring in their final Pokemon, which is Galarian Stunfisk. Going to be firing off the Aqua Tail onto the Galarian Stunfisk. Stunfisk tanks it, and they're just going to go for the Rock Slide. Rock Slide will hit for neutral damage onto the Drapion. Drapion barely able to hang on and reach the last second Aqua Tail. That is big. That is going to get the Stunfisk below half health. Still has Berserker with some energy. In comes Berserker. Gonna be firing off the foul play. Foul play not gonna be enough to KO, but will get that Stunfisk quite low. Stunfisk continues to farm, shielding the Stunfisk here, saving no shields for the Venomoth. Continuing to farm. In comes the Dragonite. Dragonite is going to be met with a foul play from Berserker. Berserker gets the shield, and now it's all up to XL Venomoth to close out this game. Dragonite going for the Dragon Claw. Venomoth able to tank it. Venomoth gets the farm down. In comes the Galarian Stunfisk. Oh my goodness, going for the Poison Fang debuff onto the Stunfisk, gets the screenshot, and the confusion goes through. Stunfisk reaches the Rock Slide. Rock Slide takes out the Venomoth. Berserker gets the farm down and secures the win. And now hopping into the Pikachu Libre set, picking up a Nightmare lead Berserker into Talonflame, save switch into Shadow Drapion, and the bad news is that Shadow Drapion is the only counter to Talonflame this team has. Talonflame banks a Brave Bird and sends in Nidoqueen, but this Nidoqueen has switched into an absolutely loaded Drapion. Drapion going to be able to reach 3 Aqua Tails before Nidoqueen even reaches a single Earth Power. Drapion is going to fire off the Aqua Tail just as Nidoqueen is able to reach their move. Aqua Tail gets the shield, and Drapion is going to commit a shield in return. Nidoqueen full sends the Earth Power. That is massive. Drapion continues to farm, firing off this Aqua Tail on the CMP tie. Aqua Tail, little bit of lag, is going to be able to take out the Nidoqueen, and then if they don't bring in the Talonflame, I think you have to pivot. In comes a Powder Snow Alolan Ninetales. Drapion is going to fire off the Aqua Tail, farm up some energy, kind of have to pivot, and he's going to do exactly that into Berserker. Talonflame does have energy, and they're going to throw it. This Flame Charge is definitely going to hurt. Flame Charge is going to land. Berserker is going to fire off the foul play. This foul play, not going to be enough to KO. Opponent lets it through. Opponent going for the farm down. They do not get there. Berserker hangs on very low HP, reaches the foul play, grabs the shield, and now you can bring in Drapion, go for the Aqua Tail, and take down the Talonflame. That is huge. And now there's just the Alolan Ninetales left in the back. They go for the farm down. Drapion reaches an Aqua Tail. This Aqua Tail will get them low. And then it's Venomoth time. And Venomoth will be able to clean up this game. Alolan Ninetales is going to fire off Weather Ball after Weather Ball in this matchup. But unfortunately, before they can, Poison Fang is reached. Poison Fang takes out the Ninetales and secures the win. Nightmare lead in the next match, Berserker into Scrafty. Immediate save switch into the Venomoth. Venomoth is going to be met with an armored Mewtwo, and that is absolutely awful. Mewtwo is going to be resisting the confusions and only taking neutral from the Poison Fangs, meaning that Mewtwo can safely farm all the way down, and there's just nothing that Venomoth can do about it. And to add insult to injury, Armored Mewtwo does get Dynamic Punch, which will hit for massive super effective damage onto Berserker. In comes Berserker. Berserker looks like it's going to try and farm down, but they're going to have to expend both shields to do so. Dynamic Punch number 1 and Dynamic Punch number 2 coming through. Berserker is going to double shield and look to farm down. Berserker will leave with quite a bit of energy, but down 2 shields, this is going to be a very tough fight. Going straight for the close combat, this should be grabbing the first shield from the opponent. In comes Shadow Drapion, and Shadow Drapion will be met with Venusaur. At the very least, Venusaur has nowhere to run. Venusaur is going to fire off a Frenzy Plant, even resisted. That does so much damage to the Drapion. Drapion easily does have the back-to-back crunches here, firing off the first. That's going to get the Venusaur low. Drapion, again, continuing to overfarm, firing off the crunch. This crunch is going to get the Venusaur low, able to farm down. Back in comes Scrafty. Scrafty is going to be firing off a power-up punch, and that is a really bad sign, because once these counters get boosted, they are going to absolutely shred through Berserker. Going for the Aqua Tail. Opponent knows to let it go. In comes Berserker, and Berserker, unfortunately, is not going to be able to get to the back-to-back close combats. The power-up punch counter combination is just too much, and that is a good game. Great lead in the next match, Berserker into Cofagrigus. This opponent actually decides to stay in and play out the lead. While they're taking super effective damage from the Shadow Claws and the foul plays, Cofagrigus is bulky enough in the Ultra League where it can tank 1 and then hit back hard with a neutral Shadow Ball. This Shadow Ball will do a ton of damage to Berserker. Berserker is going to commit the shield, and they shield a Dark Pulse bait. That's unfortunate. Opponent is going to bank energy, switch in Shadow Nidoqueen, which is met with the Venomoth. These confusions chunking through the Nidoqueen. Earth Power is going to hurt. It is neutral here. Earth Power lands, gets the defense drop as well, which is quite unfortunate. Venomoth fires back with the Psychic. Psychic gets the shield. Nidoqueen going for switch, and they're able to get it. Berserker does have a lot of energy, so you can bring in Berserker and then fire off the foul play. That is a CMP tie to the Earth Power here. Berserker, foul play. Gets shielded, opponent trying to get shields down, and that's exactly what he's going to do. He is going to commit the final shield, looking to farm down, but the opponent does not let that happen. They bring in Cofagrigus, going for the snipe. Dark Pulse lands, aggressive switch into the Drapion. Drapion able to get the farm down and leaves with some nice energy to handle either the Nidoqueen or whatever the opponent has in the back. In the back, they have Venusaur, and Shadow Drapion up energy should be able to comfortably close out this game. Firing off the crunch, that's going to land. Firing off crunch number 2. No debuff, so this is not going to be enough to KO, but it will be getting that Venusaur deep into the red. Venusaur continues to farm. They do have quite a bit of energy here. They're going to be firing off the first Frenzy Plant. That is going to get the Drapion low. Drapion going for the farm down. Opponent is able to save the very low health Venusaur, but this Nidoqueen is going to be taken out with the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will be taking care of the Nidoqueen. Down goes the Nidoqueen. In comes Berserker to catch the Frenzy Plant. What a play. Berserker gets taken out, but Drapion has the Crunch loaded. Crunch will take care of the low health Venusaur, and that is a good game. Hopping into the final match, sending Berserker into Tapu Fini. Not a great lead, immediate save switch into Shadow Drapion, but no Sludge Bomb is quite unfortunate here, building up to a potential Sludge Bomb and trying to bluff it. Crunch gets no shielded, opponent calls the bluff and is going to send in their own Drapion. Aqua Tail is quite handy in the mirror, as it's going to be able to hit for neutral. firing off the first Aqua Tail. Opponent continues to farm, allowing him to reach Aqua Tail number 2. This is going to get Drapion below half health here, and approaching a range where a third charge move will come close to KOing. They're going to start firing off charge moves. They go for the crunch. That does quite a bit of damage, and they reach crunch number 2. Drapion committing the shield, going to try and make a play for switch here. Farming up, very close to the back-to-back Aqua Tails, firing off the first. Decision time for the opponent. They commit the shield, and they're already at another charge move. Double shielding the Drapion, really trying to flip switch here. Continuing to farm up, reaches the back-to-back Aqua Tails, and this is big. Firing off the first one. First one is gonna KO, and able to win switch. In comes Tapu Fini. They now know the moveset, and they have nothing to fear. They're going to tank that crunch. They do get their defense lowered, though, as they get the farm down. They leave with energy, but that energy is not going to be particularly useful against Venomoth. In the back, they have Trevenant. Trevenant is going to be hit with the Poison Fang, and in comes Berserker. These Shadow Claws now dealing extra damage. They're firing off the Shadow Ball. This Shadow Ball is going to get Berserker quite low. Shadow Ball gets Berserker deep into the red. Berserker not going to be able to farm down, so Berserker is forced to fire off the Foul Play. Foul Play is going to KO. Opponent putting it all on Tapu Fini, but Tapu Fini is not going to be able to do enough damage to this Venomoth. Surf, not enough to KO, and that is a good game. All in all, I've got to say XL Venomoth, probably one of the spiciest Pokemon I've seen used on a Legend push, so massive props to this trainer. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.